Welcome back, Eagles fans. You're listening to Coast, brought to you by Allianz, the official insurance partner of the West Coast Eagles. Allianz, care never gives up. Now, when the West Coast Eagles entered the competition back in 1987, there were only a handful of players that could truly say they were there from the very beginning. Adrian Barich, Rob Wiley and Steve Malaxos helped lay the foundations of a club that would go on to become one of the biggest names in Australian sport. Almost 4 decades on, we're getting the original Eagles back together to share stories from those early days, reflect on the club's journey, and no doubt have a few laughs along the way.
Yeah, so the 40th anniversary of the footy club. How time flies. We've got some vivid memories here and two blokes who were there at the start. Well, the three of us were there at the start, weren't we, really? You were stars and chased after by the clubs and you wanted. And I think I was the 38th bloke signed, and we only had 38 in the group. And I signed my contract on the bonnet of Graham Moss's car at Clontarf, can you believe? But you would have been locked in before. So tell us your journey to get to the club. Stav, you moved from Hawthorn. Robbie, obviously.
Okay, I think you must have concussion because I thought there was only 35 on the squad. So if you were the 38th, there must have been a few that dropped out.
Someone wasn't using the numbers up the list, I think, or something like that. So, but Stav, tell us your story first.
Yeah, I never felt like I was locked in because I'd come back from Hawthorn in 86 and was playing quite okay in the waffle, but I did a knee middle of the year and not coincidentally, interestingly, I was like the 1% of people or 0.1% who didn't need to have a knee reconstruction. If I had a knee reconstruction, I don't reckon I would have been signed.
Is that right?
So the doctors at the time decided not to have a knee reconstruction, said, battle on, do a massive rehab program. So it worked, but I was never really confident that I was going to get signed because of that.
Because the Eagles asked for $35,000, or Hawthorn asked for $35,000 for you, which was like $235 now.
They signed this guy with a knee injury. At least he's not going to cost us much. We're going to get 35. Yeah. So, but I was never. Mossy was in charge of it, but I felt somewhat confident.
Claremont, you see the Claremont
connection.
Yeah. Do you reckon there was a bit of that Claremont connection with Mossy? And that he looked
we had a
after
meeting mid-year. I don't know if you guys were, and he pulled about 8 or 9 guys aside and had a meeting and said, "This looks like what's going on."
Who was there? You, Anir?
Yeah, but a couple of guys who missed out. Daryl Panizza, Steve Golding, some good players, Noel Morton. Yeah, anyhow, that's my story,
there was the Claremont thing.
Robbie was probably more of a lock-in.
Well, it's quite interesting.
Well, the great man was with me at Perth.
Yeah. People often think that I came back from Victoria to play, but I'd actually been back in Perth for 3 years. Had my 5 years at Richmond. I thought I wanted to finish my playing career at Perth, where so much memories. So I wandered back to Perth at Lathlane, and 84, 85, and 86 there was starting to get more rumours about this national competition or this extended VFL competition. It was, I was 32 years of age. So actually coming back into a top competition was a big thing for me.
Did you have to think about it? I mean, we played in a prelim in 86, Perth, didn't we?
Not at all, Barry, because I always wanted to play at the best level. So for me to get the opportunity, and I didn't realise how such an opportunity would be to see a club from scratch. We've never been involved in a club from scratch, Barry. So we didn't know what we were expecting. It was just the excitement. And I can always remember the 86 state game, which so happened
Is
to
that
be,
the one that you won off your own boot?
That was 84, but I played okay that game. But it was we had a lot of teammates that played, McNish, Staver. There was a whole...
Zanotti. Keane,
they eventually played in for the Eagles in the inaugural year. So it was something that I wasn't expecting, like probably all of us, but to be involved was just an amazing. I think they needed a bit of experience, Stav. So for me, I might have been a lock-in just truly through
your name and reputation,
and having that experience there.
Actually, we lost a few though, Stav, didn't we? As well, like there were rumours all year, as you said, of it happening. Like I wasn't in that, but you guys were, and then suddenly the Victorian clubs, they used it a little bit, going, no, it won't happen. Come on, Sporting, come with us.
Bairstow.
Winmar, Bairstow. So those guys sort of left. Peter Wilson, he eventually came back to the club.
Michael Mitchell, I'm not sure if he went that year, but he probably did in Upper Richmond.
I reckon he did, yeah, because he was in that state game.
Yeah,
Played
there
very
was
well.
Paul Harding.
Yeah.
There's a few players who they were keen on, allegedly, the Eagles, and didn't come back.
The funny thing was, I think the inaugural squad was all West Australians, wasn't it? And
Yes.
then the premiership team, the first Eagles premiership team, was all West Australians too.
Yep.
Which you think about it now, you look at the Dockers, probably contenders this year. There's so many Victorians in there. They had to change the song, remember, because the song was, for years they took the best of us, and now they can't sing that song anymore because there's too many Victorians over here playing. Harley Reid's Victorian, you know what I mean?
So I think there was like 6 players that came back from the VFL to join the Eagles. So we're pretty inexperienced when you think about it.
Dean Turner.
Yeah, Roscoe, obviously.
And who was so would you think Ross was the face? Ross Glendinning was the face initially. Did he work with Mossy? And then, because as a young bloke, I really wanted to play with you guys, but also with Ross, the Brownlow medalist. He probably doesn't realise how much of a difference he made to the whole shooting match.
I went to Scotch College in 1973 to play with Ross, and he got injured. So, I eventually found him in '87, and we became teammates in '87.
My memory's a little bit blurry of that. I can't remember Ross's name being used as a lever to sign. It was more the just being in the team. But I feel sure the administration thought they needed someone to sell to sponsors and to show the locals that this was going to happen and we're going to be the real thing, perhaps.
The bloke with the big barrel chest.
As a player, you don't realise that, but I'm sure that Ross was a huge get as a draw card.
For me and the young blokes, Worsfold and those guys, we certainly did, Pikey and all the rest of it. I'll tell us this though, you guys would know the story of the first game, obviously. So did we all play in the inaugural game?
No, I was injured. I actually tore my calf so bad that it was. I thought, I'm going to train as hard as I could because I knew at 32 I had to be a bit fitter, but tore my calf. So unfortunately, I missed out on that amazing inaugural first game.
You recovered from the old man's injury, did you?
Something like that.
that's what they call it now.
Oh, yeah, yes. I can remember. I thought I was shot. I was at Aquinas College where we used to train, and I thought someone shot me.
And what about you, Steve? Did you get in the first game?
Not all that well, but I played in the forward line.
Why do you think you didn't play well?
That's a good question. Although it didn't kick it to me.
I know it well, Steph.
No, only joking. I was playing the forward line. Sometimes it doesn't work for you. Forward line plays a bit different. You can be in the right spots or go for a crumb and guys took marks. So it can sometimes happen, but I'm not blaming anyone. Just didn't have a good day.
You famously almost kicked 100 in the forward pocket for Claremont, didn't you?
Yeah, well, the ball was always down there at Claremont.
That's incredible.
We kicked some big scores. Yeah, so I didn't play all that well, but anyhow.
So what I was going to say about that first game was I didn't realise until this year, can you believe it? This is how bad I'm going, is that we were the curtain raiser to the West Perth, East Perth game.
Yes.
Is that right?
We were the curtain raiser, Rob. So they put us on first and we got a big 30,000 person crowd. And I was talking to Committee about it before he passed away, and he said that's when he realised that the world was changing because as soon as our game finished and been so exciting, we were 30 points behind at three-quarter time or whatever, and we stormed home on the back of Keeney and Anir and Narkle and all the boys, McNish. And then when our game ended, because I was going to hospital actually because I broke my cheekbone in our first game, so I was actually on my way to hospital, I did see a lot of people streaming out, and apparently most of the crowd left. Didn't want to see East Perth versus
we used to do post-match drinks in those days, and the Richmond guys came up and the umpires, and I remember at Subi Oval there was that, it might have been the chairman's room, so that's where and you could see out in the ground and you could see the people leaving, and I think it was West Perth and East Perth or something, and I reckon it would have only been 5,000 who stayed. I don't know what the actual figure was, but
I think that's when WA football realised, whoa, the world's changed, everything's changed now. The Eagles are going to take over, and that's exactly what happened. So it was kind of a little bit sad. And how did you guys deal with the fact that the Waffle didn't really embrace us at the start. They wouldn't let us train on any of their grounds. We couldn't train at Subi. Do you know that initially?
Yeah.
We had
Well,
to
as
go
I
out
said,
to Aquinas.
We started off at Aquinas, and Hank used to drive up his van, the great late Hank Glody. And we used to get changed out of the back of the van. I think we trained mostly on the back ovals of Aquinas. We probably couldn't even get their main oval, Barra, until we got kicked off. And then we headed to Mount Lawley Teachers College.
Of course, because Ron Alexander, our coach, happened to be working there or something, and we used the
that was
toilets.
connection.
We changed in the toilets.
Yep. So all that is quite amazing, Stav, when you think about how we gelled together, not knowing each other and to be able to come together so quickly.
Because
I experienced actually a little bit of negativity. Used to go back to Claremont as much as possible.
And
we
they
sometimes
get stuck in you, did they?
Oh, just people who I'd known for 20 or 30 years. They weren't. I don't know if Claremont were one of the more not negative clubs, but they didn't really embrace it as much. I don't know. Well, Claremont were a really good team in '87. So whether they were caught up in Claremont, and I even a couple of times had people come up to me and say Claremont would beat you guys because Claremont were killing it in '87. Claremont would beat you guys, etc., etc. And I'm going, no, you wouldn't. But it wasn't.
It's
it wasn't totally embracing at Claremont.
Easy to understand, isn't it?
Actually, I didn't get tied up. I think I was too focused on trying to get a little bit of
Get your
form,
calf right.
get my fitness, get my calf right. And so, but you could totally understand waffle clubs where they've been the number one in the state to all of a sudden becoming, behind West Coast Eagles. So
And
totally
a lot of the legends weren't on board with us. I remember Billy Walker went out against us big time, and they didn't want us. And it took a while for us to be able to even train at Subiaco Oval.
Well, how long was that though, Barrow? It not in the first year.
No, I don't reckon the first year, and even in the second year. But was that Toddy? Remember the '88? Toddy took us out to Arthur Pexton Field.
I'm not sure we trained it. I'm not sure we trained it pre-season under Toddy at Subi. Maybe it was during that year.
Definitely 90 when Malthouse took over. We were training at Subiaco all the time.
We flexed our muscles
We
there.
did a little bit of McGilvray, I remember, under Mick in the pre-season, but in season was all at
always
Subi.
Subi,
Yeah.
So do you?
And Nizzy was on board, mate. Yeah.
So do you remember going out to those ovals out near Guildford and on the mud flaps?
Yeah.
Flaps, whatever the word is.
Well, Barrow, I was living in the leafy western suburbs and used to training at Claremont, mate, and
didn't know where it was.
heading out Arthur Pexton was just not. But
And someone got injured too, didn't they? Was it Dean Turner?
Well, I was gone by then because I only lasted 1 year.
Oh, that's right.
I just lasted the first year, and as I said, it was just purely Aquinas and Mount Lawley in my day.
Yeah. Well,
that oval at Mount Lawley too wasn't flash.
This was a cow paddock at Arthur
we went there.
Pexton
I
Field.
remember going there in the middle of
the cows
winter
off.
with Toddy because he thought, get used to the.
Cuffing us up.
But we also went there in the middle of summer. Yeah.
And then
hot
Dean
too.
Turner got hit by a star picket. He jumped on
That's right.
and it nearly
That's right.
cut his
That's right.
artery. And so he was nearly
Imagine now.
Career over. He'd sue.
He'd been sued in negligence.
Hey, the oval just has to be a little bit bumpy, and they're saying, well, we can't let our footballers go on this surface.
Yeah.
Well, you know what we had to go through, and you never thought anything of it though. That was par for the course.
So I don't want to do your job, Barra, but so Robbie, how did you? Why only 1 year? Did they say enough's enough, or you said that? Or
good question, Steph.
Yeah,
I signed for 2 years, but at 32, I just felt that my body was starting to break down. Mentally, I was probably struggling to say, well, every time you run out, you're playing to the standard that you'd created over all the years. I went and met Ron, and I said, Ron Alexander, who did an amazing first year. I mean, for what we've just talked about, and yet to win 11 games out of 22.
You'd never get sacked for 11 wins.
Oh, unbelievable. And I just said, where do you see
Playing
me?
finals.
He said, where do you see me? And he said, well, Rob, he said, I see you more as a part-time footballer. And I never wanted to be a part-time footballer.
That would have gone down well with you.
Well, it was it was great because it was actually confirmation of my time's right to step away. And Mel Brown, who was coaching Perth, said, I want you to coach. You should coach Perth. So it was sort of all falling into pieces. So that's why I only played 1 year. But Stav, I'm just so glad I played that 1 year because it was such an amazing experience to see a club starting to form, where they got their players from, and where they were heading.
Well, Rob, I always look at you as, at West Coast, probably the three biggest figures have been Trevor Nisbet, John Worsfold, and Mick Malthouse, probably, right?
Yep.
And then next level down, because you've been here with us for so long, Rob, I've got you right there.
Thanks, Adrian.
Because
I've
you
always
came
liked
on
you.
because you came on with Malthouse, did so much work, were there for the flags. Famous photo in '92 when you jump up with Maney
Maney.
with a broken ankle and he's jumping as well.
He jumped higher than me.
But I wanted to go back to the first year, '87. Now, did you guys play in the game, the massacre at the SCG?
Yes.
When they
Yes.
kicked,
Yep. And the song?
they kicked 30 goals on us.
Yes.
And we lost by 130.
I had an
And the
interesting-
Swanettes had a tough day, didn't they? 30 times they had to sing the
I
song.
had an interesting experience. It was the only time in my life when I wanted the coach to shift me.
Oh, you're playing on right. He kicked
No,
eight.
I was playing on Greg Williams. So I reckon Sydney, when we played them, were the best team in the comp. They did win the premiership, but their starting centre square lineup, I think Coleman was a ruck who was just running here, and ground level was Williams, Healy, and Mitchell. And I was playing on Greg Williams. I remember halfway through the second quarter, I thought I've had a few kicks and handballs, but this guy does not stop running. Every time I go near him, he elbows me in the guts or boosts me. He leads and they'll kick it to him and he marches. He's so strong. And I was walking off, we're getting fresh, and I thought, surely Ron's going to shift me. I can't go on the second half. I'm absolutely cooked. So Ron went round the rooms and said, made a few changes. And Steve, I'm sticking with you, going okay. And I thought to myself, Ron, you're kidding, aren't you? I'm cooked.
Yeah.
But I played that day.
Who played
What was
on
it,
right?
35
Wright
goals?
kicked-
Something like that.
Yeah,
And we
30
kicked,
goals
what,
they
did we?
kicked. And Wright kicked 8.
In a
The
forward
Rover.
pocket, yeah.
So he must have been
Well,
rested.
hopefully I wasn't ruined that day.
So they used that against Alexander to get rid of him. That was
Did
part
they?
of their thing of, mate, we can't go to the SCG and get belted like that. Was
But they were
embarrassing.
red hot, mate. Kappa was,
Yeah.
What did you make of all that when Toddy sort of played the card, I'm going to South Australia, and then the Eagles people
Was that
went,
strategic, you reckon, Barra?
I don't know. May
I don't
rest
know.
in peace. But they decided, you know what, we've got to make a move on
So
Ron.
why did Ron get sacked? I mean, it's a really
I
good
think mostly
question.
because they wanted Todd. They thought they could sell Todd better, and he was leaving town.
Yeah.
And there's a few people that came in to run the club that perhaps weren't footy people as much as they should be. I
Because
think.
you think about it, people complain now about the travel, and this is the first time we as players and as a group travelled every second week. We won
Exactly.
11 games out of 22.
Yeah.
Which is
Something was
incredible
going pretty
record.
good,
Yeah.
I thought. But when we played on those little Victorian grounds like Moorabbin and the the
Windy
mud
Hill.
was up to your knees,
Yeah.
we struggled a little bit. But, that's experience,
So
places-
it's-
What I did here, Barra, and Ron has said to me one day I'd like to have it, and I've never done it, I should have a chatting to you exactly, was, remember, we played Brisbane and we stayed during the week at Tally Budgerah,
Yeah.
which is sort of on
That
the
didn't
Gold
help his
Coast.
case.
But don't
either.
forget the first time where we stayed in that beautiful hotel, the Hilton. It was-
Jupiter.
Yeah.
Now we went to this, and we were still a rough chance to make the finals. I think we'd beaten
Yep.
Brisbane comfortably, and
Playing Melbourne on a Friday night.
yeah, and powers to be, Everly weren't that happy with
The
what
behaviour.
occurred at Tallabudgerah, not professional enough, and we got not belted, we got beaten comfortably on the Friday,
Friday
I
night,
think.
yep.
And I don't know if that I shouldn't say
Didn't
those
help.
words, but I don't think that helped.
No, and I
Yeah.
think Ron stuck up for his players, and because
Right.
Maney was one of them, Chris Mayne
Yeah.
wearing, he snuck out to Jupiter's and got caught. I don't think that helped his
Yeah.
case. And I suppose we should mention too, just coming off what you said, Rob, absolutely right. Some of the conditions too, like I can remember how bad Moorabbin, they would leave the sprinklers on overnight knowing that we don't like playing in the mud. I remember going to the Bulldogs to, was it Whitten Oval back then? Or
Yeah, Western
the
Oval.
Western Oval?
Yeah.
I thought I was on another planet. Stav, you must have come out of the western suburbs. You go, although you lived in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It's like, what is this joint? And then we got there and they turned off the hot water after the match. So we had no hot showers and we had to get a flight home. Remember Zanotti didn't even have a shower. He had mud all over
Would he
him.
ever have a shower?
He was like,
But again, that first win, our first win in Melbourne was quite historic, and it was at Princess Park.
Yeah.
Again, that oval was so soft and
I didn't
muddy.
play that day.
Against Hawthorn, I think. If I
I've got a
remember
story
right.
about that one as well.
yeah.
So they were playing Hawthorn. I was desperate to play because it was against Hawthorn. But I tweaked my hamstring on the Monday, but I didn't tell anyone because I so wanted to play. And it was Friday morning, and I think we were due in the plane in about 2 hours' time at the airport, and I just thought I can't. I'm not going to make it. And I rang up Ron and said I can't play. Got a tight hamstring. He was really good about it. But a few people actually thought I was nervous about playing Hawthorn because he pulled out. He was scared. It was the opposite. But it was the wrong thing to do. I should have told him Thursday night. But it was literally a couple of hours before the flight left.
Oh, that was good that you straightened the record out anyway. Some people,
I've been waiting for this opportunity.
And then of course, Rob, you'd gone by then. But then in '88, we had a great season, so it looked like Todd was a good decision. But then in '89, we dropped right back, and we had the Windy Hill massacre, where we got beaten by 142 points.
Yep.
And Chris Lewis was the only one to score a goal. It was 1 goal, 12. And
Fatty Lamb found 10 cents, didn't he?
Shit, he still got it.
So
he was on the bench. He threw
on the
it.
ground.
Can you hold that for me? Yeah.
No, it's a bit harsh on Fatty.
No, but that and that really hurt.
True, though.
That really hurt Toddy. And then they came for Todd, and it turned out to be one of the great decisions, Rob. And did you come on with Mick straight away?
Yep. So Mick rang up middle of '89, and he said, "I want to coach West Coast." And at that time, I was coaching Perth, and I said, "I have no pull, Mick," but he obviously knew his time at the Western Oval was done, and he could see the quality of the West Coast list, and he thought, that's the place I want to be. But look, I dropped the word that Mick was keen, and from there he obviously.
Is that how it started?
Yeah, that's how it started.
He was salivating about that. He'd seen the Kemps and the Headies and all those guys coming through. He's going,
very smart operator, Mick. He
mate,
knew what
and
was
he
good.
apparently did his homework too, because in his interview he just had a list of information on all these players, and they were blown away by what knowledge he had about the club. Is that right?
Well, his preparation, whether he's coaching or whether he wanted, is outstanding. So he would tell them exactly, and Mick's got that authoritative way of telling people or explaining to people. So look, it was, in hindsight, it was a great decision. West Coast were able to get some defensive qualities into a side that was so attacking, and you have a look at Pikey, who was one of the most attacking, Claremont, West Coast, but under Mick says, well, if you don't play my way, there's no way you're going to stay at the club. And credit to Pikey, become the best run with player, him and Fatty Lamb. So he had that way of persuading you, either come down the same path as me or you don't belong.
Yeah.
So before we go a bit more into Mick's era, there's one story I did want to ask you about, because I was with you in 1990. You were captain, right?
Yeah.
Captain of the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah.
And we'd played 2 finals. We'd had the draw against Collingwood. And then for whatever reason, Mick dropped you, right?
Yeah.
I was voting for you to play, Steph, I couldn't get my way with Mick.
Well, no, I was given a reason, and now it does stack up, obviously, the reason.
Let me just finish that story, though. So we're at Subi Oval after training, and there's a big sponsors event on before we go to Melbourne. Yeah. And I'm not playing, right? So, and I'm going up there, and I'm going, Stav, where are you going? He goes, I'm the captain. I've got to speak. And I go, you don't look very happy, Stav. He goes, guess what? I'm not playing, and I can't say anything. I have to go to the event and pretend I'm playing. I had such admiration for you that you were able to stand in front of all those multi-millionaires and go, it's going to be really good. I can't wait to lead the boys out.
Right. Well, no, that's life anyhow. But it's quite true. There was a function that night at Subi, and I was told not to tell anyone, so I kept what's the word? Yeah, people all the best for Saturday. Yeah, no, it's right.
That must have been excruciating.
But I did tell people. I did tell. Wednesday night. It was in the showers actually. Dean Irving got hauled out, and Spriggy came and said, "Dean, can you?" And he walked past, and he had been dropped or wasn't getting a game, and then they said, "Steve, can you come in?"
I'm still enjoying my shower.
Did you know about this, Rob?
I forget about how.
But my form had slipped for a couple of weeks, so I sort of knew that things weren't quite right. And all the matchmen, then they said, "You've been dropped. It's a big ground. We need to go with. We're looking for pace on the bigger ground."
At Waverley.
Was that the game against Collingwood?
No,
Melbourne.
It was Melbourne. We
Yeah.
belted the crap out of Melbourne.
So
so then the following week, did you think you'd come back in?
No, not really. Melbourne boys played really well against Melbourne. Won easy.
Because I remember you were
I
training
think-
the house down trying to get back in.
Well, I think there was one spot, and on the Monday night we did. Robbie might have been the guy kicking the ball. There's about 8 of us. Who didn't get a game. Yeah, and with the rehab group, we're doing 1-to-1 man-to-man, and Mick was standing there, and Swiggy was standing there, and Jeppy was standing there, and they're watching every second of man-to-man. It was quite strange.
got the nod,
No, but
didn't
I didn't. No, I didn't feel it. Although there was a game, they won that. The boys won that one, and then the next one,
They played Essendon.
Spot was up, played Essendon, and Mick grabbed me before we got on the bus, either to training or game, he might, and said, how do you go on, you've played on Ezard before, and he said, how do you go on Ezard? And I said, oh, okay. I think he was looking for a more,
So you lied.
on the eve of a final, I go, well,
I'll
mate,
get
I'm
him.
dying for a chance, give me anything. But anyhow.
Could have been worse, Rob. Could have sent you to talk to Steph.
Oh, yes,
Well, I was
did a bit
bitterly
of that.
disappointed, but now when I reflect and been coaching and you've got to make those calls, so it took me a while to move on, but
I
you know
always
what I
say
mean.
you should be a coach before you
Yeah,
play,
yeah.
because then you'd understand a lot more of the reasons why.
Yeah.
You know, Sheedy reckons that us drawing with Collingwood cost him the flag that year.
Yeah.
Because we had to have the replay and it stuffed everything up for him. He had all this big plan, and he got beaten by Collingwood in the grand final.
Yeah.
So it was a big year for him.
That's amazing, isn't it, when you reflect? Because I actually had a smother that day and I didn't even play.
What happened?
So I was running a message to Dean Kemp and I had to sort of go a little bit towards the boundary line, and Mullane was running the ball out at the time.
Yeah.
Hand passed around a player to run onto it. It hit my shins and went out of bounds. So obviously these days it's a free kick. The ball got thrown back in. We won it. Kicked to Sumwich. Sumwich kicks the levelling score. So I had a big part to play in that.
Yep.
Only smother of my time too.
Barra, the 1990 was a great performance by the boys because we travelled 6 weeks in a row. I think we played Brisbane, then we played Geelong, then came back, and I think the boys
correct.
played in 4 finals, so 6 away games in a row, and won 4 of them, drew 1 and lost 1. A really great effort. And it was during the pilot strike.
That's right. It was a plane strike. So we were on small
Yeah.
planes. Yeah, charter
Yeah.
planes. So
Stopping in
amazing.
Kalgoorlie or something.
Well,
Yeah,
I
we did.
remember flying with the Wildcats one day. I don't know.
Did they get all of the big seats, or they must have?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't an army plane, actually.
Yeah, a RAF plane. That's right.
RAF
it was
plane,
too.
that's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we stopped in
Yeah.
Kalgoorlie and Mildura.
Was
yeah.
that the making of the club, Rob? Do you reckon like that those sort of adversity they had to deal with right from the start, not being able to train
Well,
anywhere?
I think 87 was a clear indication for me because for what we had to go through, and as we've mentioned before, to win that amount of games, set the scene. Now, obviously, you have to go backwards sometimes before you go forwards, and we didn't go backwards. Under Todd in 88, it was pretty good. You know, they lost that final out at Waverley. So from then on, you know, we had the side. It was just about getting the on-field right, the off-field right, and then from there the playing group just took over. It was such a talented group. You know, people say that, you know, it was a state side, but it was just what was given. And, you know, Dean Kemp picked up and Hetty picked up at, what,
In the
90th
90s.
and 100th
Yeah.
pick. I mean, that's just amazing recruiting.
We had some pretty good concessions though, because I think Djakovic and White and Ball all came on later on as concessions. So reasonable players.
But that first year set, and then, as I said, I think it was an indication that the club had some really good power brokers that they were going to leave no stone unturned to get success. And it's quite amazing the success we had in such a short time.
But you know the club nearly went bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
in
was
that
within
first year,
days.
didn't they?
I
I think we got off to a good start, as you said, Rob, in the 87 was a good foundation, but off-field, as you said, Barrett, started going a bit
the
pear-shaped.
footy
you know?
commission had to come in. The government came in and made the footy commission the owner, ostensibly the owner of the West Coast Eagles. But still is. It's ostensibly.
Yeah.
But travelling was such a great team building, great character. I mean, some of our plane rides back home,
Yeah.
they were legendary. You know, I don't know how some of
can't
those
do it
players. I don't know how some of those players walk down those steps.
Can't do it
You
now,
know,
can you?
I mean, and then the John Anea, you know, getting home and running.
Oh yeah, now that is one story we did want to cover.
Yeah.
So, and he's one of your best friends as well. So I'll leave it up to you two.
Well,
Tell us the story about him running home from the airport.
yeah, he lived about a kilometre away from me, which is about 20 kilometres from the airport, and our wives used to take turns to pick us up from the airport late on a Saturday night. And John said, I'll giving you my bag. And I saw him putting his runners on. I said, well, why? What are you doing? He said, I'm running home. I said, you're an idiot. I said, it's 20 hours. What are you running home for? He said, I've got to do something because he said, I played poorly, was in Geelong, I've been sitting in my front, I've got to run some steam off. So he left
7 o'clock at night or something. What time is it?
8:30.
Yeah.
Probably closer to
And then
9,
his wife at the time, Kim, came in and said, where's John? And I said, he's running home. I said, what? He's running home. He goes, well, once he's an idiot. So then we're driving past, and we passed him on Great Eastern Highway 2, dude. I went back to his place. I was having a wine or whatever, a beer, and he rocked up about 20 minutes later. I said, how do you feel? He said, feel great. No one needed to do that. Anyhow.
So on one of those plane trips, my late wife, Marcia, was on it, and she was very, very pregnant with our youngest child. Anyway, we must have played poorly because Ron said, no drinking, Well, you would have thought that she was an alcoholic. She had so many little bottles on her tray. All the boys were ordering alcohol through Marcia.
Leaving them on the table. But there's so many iconic stories. Stav, there is another one about you, of course. We couldn't believe it at the time. But
glad he won't. That was 88.
It happened again recently because a telethon event this year, they auctioned off the right to sit in the coach's box. And this is no bull. It went for $50,000. That was for the Dockers, and then the Eagles one sold in 1 second flat for $50,000 as well.
Right.
And it threw
just
me
to sit in there,
just to sit in there during the game and watch them operate. 2 people, and it threw me back to that year.
$300 was the winning auction price.
Some woman
to make a move.
A sponsor paid $300 to go into and make one move.
I bumped into her a couple of months ago.
Oh, did you? What was her move, Steph?
Said, oh, hi, Steve, I'm the lady you talk about. And I said, hi, how you going? I kept moving. No, not really, not really.
What was her move that she had $300 she'd paid for at an
basically
auction?
Said, Toddy said, you better make your move, time's running out. She said, that guy Malaxos off, he looks a bit tired. Yeah.
That guy Malaxos.
And I came off, and Russell Cox, the footy manager, I got along with pretty well. I won't put the swear words. I said, Coxie, why am I off? Said, I didn't know there was the lady sitting there. Said, lady upstairs. Said, you're looking a bit tired. I said, lady upstairs? Goes, yeah, the lady who came with us on the trip, she's allowed to make one move. I said, mate, of course I'm tired. I've had 28 possessions.
That's only quarter time.
But it was the end.
How filthy were you? You were so
initially,
filthy.
but it was the end of
initially. Look at his stories. I can't effing believe it.
But it was the last game of the season. So, and we were in Melbourne, so we stayed the night in Melbourne, so things subsided.
Commiserated later.
Yeah.
The other famous story, Robbie, I don't even know if I've told you this story, but in 87, that was when Lockett won the Brownlow, wasn't it? Yeah. With Platten in 87, right? And this is no bull. And the last round of the year, so we're at the Brownlow medal. I think I might have been at the Brownlow myself. I don't know if you were there. It was at the Southern Cross Hotel. And at this stage, Lockett and Platten had tied, right? And a full forward hadn't, I don't know if they'd ever won.
Templeton.
Before that with Templeton, right?
Yeah.
So it was huge because Plugger might win the Brownlow, right? And Platten's tied with him. They're on equal numbers. And in the last game, they decided, obviously they set it up, was the Eagles versus St Kilda, which is in Perth. And we belted them, right? We belted them. And do you remember that day? How many possessions did you have?
52, but they only credited me with 48. No, I'm only joking. 48.
Yeah,
it was my last game. I can
was
remember
it?
Yeah,
you remember that? You remember it?
No,
So anyway, the votes come out, and it's as soon as, and nobody knew who got the 3 votes because as soon as the bloke said 3 votes, West Coast Eagles, the joint exploded because Lockett had won the Brownlow with Platten, and it was only about 2 years ago I went back to see who got the 3 votes. Because we all thought Stav had 52 and kicked a goal.
No, I'm only joking the 52.
Well, it was 48, wasn't it? 48 or 52.
My opponent, I think, got Brownlow votes.
Yeah, he got a vote. Greg Burns. He got a vote. And
fair to say we didn't defend very well either of us.
No. What was that? That was the thing around the fence, around the ground, the defence.
Right.
Yeah. But guess who got the 3?
Was Louis and you, wasn't it?
I got 3 votes.
No wonder he wanted to bring that story out, eh?
But I'd kick 4 and had blonde hair. You'd had 48.
Doesn't matter.
Mate.
Didn't Louis get 2? I think?
Louis got 2 as well, but your opponent got 1. That was the icing.
Don't
was a very
let,
good
me
play.
tell stories about getting votes from umpires, Barrow.
Oh,
we'll
mate.
leave that one go.
This bloke should have won
about
3
3
Sandovers.
Sandos.
You know how
I can
Billy's
remember
got
that
4.
game, not because of stabs, but Monkey Brennan, who was my brother-in-law. It was great to play. He reckons he handballed to me to give me a goal as my farewell present for my last game. So,
Is that right?
Thanks, Monkey.
He would have played on Lockett that day, would he?
Probably, yeah. He played on all those big ones.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
So what year did you finish up then, Stav?
was
At West
it
Coast?
90, but I was still on the list in 91, but
Okay.
I didn't play. Yeah, the boys, I played in the pre-season, but the boys were going that well. And I think West Coast won about 10 straight.
12.
12, yeah.
12
The Dockers have just
12
matched
straight.
it. Yeah.
So as the weeks go by, I'm getting older and the boys are getting better, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was that team, we should have won in 91.
Probably the best team, but didn't win for a lot of
After
the
winning
year.
12 straight.
Well, I think Hawthorn was still, a fearsome side. They had a lot of experience. We were still gaining experience, and then they
But
beat us
Waverley,
here.
playing at Waverley, did that sink us?
No, what beat us really was that first game here at Subiaco
Lost the
Oval.
final.
We lost the final. and that sort of put us behind the 8 ball, and we finally got to the grand final because we deserved it, but it was out at Waverley. And we kicked the first 4 goals. And after that, at half time, we were 10 points down, right? But I could see in the eyes of our players that we were defeated.
Really?
Whereas a year later, we were 10 points down against Geelong. There was no way we were going to lose it. So it was a bit about experience. I think we needed to, the 90, 91.
Well, they didn't have the belief, or
They
they
didn't
just,
have the belief.
or
I
they
don't-
worried about Hawthorn.
I think they were the belief and more about Hawthorn, because
Yeah.
they were a pretty experienced, talented side, Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to Mick about the way he handled 91 in terms of, we barred the street parade on the Friday, and it went down, cars went down with blue and gold balloons in it, and and no players, because the whole state hated us because we didn't front up for the street parade. And I think
Did he want the boys just to rest or something?
I think
didn't want to change the routine.
No,
eh?
he wanted to train and then travel, which meant we missed out on the parade. And I think
Probably had nothing to do with it, really.
again, that's all about how do you handle all these situations?
Because it was all new.
now
wasn't
there's
it?
a rule you have to participate, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think
But
they've
you'd played in
started
the
a
flag
rule.
already, hadn't you?
I'd played in the 80 premiership for
Yeah,
Richmond,
yeah.
but you know what? I didn't go to that street parade. I sat on the corner watching the boys because I felt it wasn't part of my routine. And I think that's where Mick felt
Mick
it
got
wasn't
it
part
from
of
you.
our routine,
Yeah.
So all changed now, and it's a very important part. But I think on reflection, he would have done a lot of things differently, which he did in 92.
And then
I
92.
do think they implemented a rule where you have to, if you're in the grand final, you have to front up to the parade.
Definitely do. Yeah.
I can remember, and because Hawthorn milked it too, didn't they? You want to talk to Dunstall? Here he is. Here's Platten. Want Langford? No worries. Yeah, and they just made us look so
But that's
bad.
the theatre a bit, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It's not all
We were
bad.
the enemy.
Yeah, it's not all bad.
We didn't want to win our first flag at Waverley.
Bloody
We wanted to win
Waverley.
our first flag at MCG.
I know, exactly. All right, boys, let's wrap it up by maybe having a few fan questions. And we've got a couple here first one's from Zacco Zia. And he says, in 5 words, or she says, in 5 words or less, what does it mean for you guys to be an Eagle? Just recounting, you're both still here, aren't you? You've never really left. That's why I reckon you're
I've
so
had a
significant.
few breaks. But
I had a big break, but I've come back working in the community department the last 5 or so
So
years.
the club
but
means a
big
lot to you, and you mean a lot to the club because you've given so much service.
It's been really good to be back. Sort of feel as though I've done the full circle, had a significant break, and back in. So I don't know, just everlasting. I don't know, part of the furniture.
For me, it's probably so proud when I think back. So proud and honoured to experience from the start. I know it's more than 5 words, but more proud and honoured and indebted to the club because can I just say, even though that as footballers we've gained so much on the field, this club has been amazing. Unfortunately, I went through the death of my wife. How the club supported me and the family, it was just unbelievable. And we're just so lucky to be a part of this club.
Well said.
Tapping into what Rob said, there's a little bit of second home to a certain extent. You feel as though the club's got your back. Yeah, well, that's how I feel. Maybe not every player feels that, but yeah. Well, maybe almost the guys at the start feel that. Maybe the club's been really good with the inaugural players, I reckon.
Oh yeah,
for the most part.
And most part. And you guys are part of the fabric of the club, really. That's how I would say about you guys. And now Chris Lewis, OAM. Like this bloke's bobbing up left, right and centre. It's amazing what happens. Well said, boys. Idle Hand says, how are you still connected to our great game? Well, I know, but let's tell our viewers as well. And because both of you are doing stuff at West Coast at the moment. Do you want to start, Stav?
Yeah, well, we're part-time in the community department. Go to schools, clinics, help out with a few sponsor things. But
you're out of school today, weren't you?
Yeah, out of school today.
And you coach Scotch College.
Yeah.
To how many titles?
4 so far.
4 titles. 4 titles. Unbelievable.
Good players, Barra. Good players.
PSA, name some of the players that you've got into the AFL out of that.
Dan Curtin. Yeah,
Dan Curtin.
Yeah, Fonty, who's a bit unheralded, but WA
the
boy.
Giants.
Giants plays well. Elijah
Hewitt.
Yeah. Ed Allen, who's just starting to make his mark at Collingwood. There's more. Charlie Banfield, boxer.
Ed Allen, who Cozzy Pickett couldn't remember who he was.
Right.
Did you see that?
Guys like that. Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Yeah.
And you, great man?
I came back to the club to help with the waffle team. And that was an interesting time through COVID and through injuries. So, and
you must be reflecting, going, hang on, this year they've got 19
fantastic
Eagles players.
I'm so glad they have because having
I remember when you were
4 or 5, I think we averaged. In fact, one game against East Fremantle, we didn't have enough players. We had to borrow 2 from East Fremantle, and they gave me 2 Little League players. So
that was kind of
it was really fun. But
not joking.
But I'm still involved in the academies, more so working and helping with the AFLW girls with their kicking. And it's been a breath of fresh air. Daisy Pearce and that environment is just an amazing environment. I'm so proud and lucky to be a part of it, Barra. It's hard to explain, but the girls are so raw in the game. They're so keen. They're appreciative. It's just fantastic working with them.
He's learned so much too because Robbie coached at Perth as well with us and coached our girls, and they absolutely loved him. Yeah. But early doors, it was that transition from male footy to female footy. And, in the male footy, if you're losing, you flip the board and you make moves everywhere, and the girls, they weren't ready for that, were they? You have to.
And, funny too, Barra, Stav, my first victory with Perth, Barra's taken all the credit because I got him into the pre warm up talk, and he thought that he was the inspiration. So no, I did that purely. I did that purely to have him and the GM in Jared Bell, just to make sure the girls knew that they were part of the club. We all won, and no, it was a great experience. But loving my time here at the moment with the girls.
Now, Bronwyn Beattie says, how did the grand final letter come about, Barra, and how was it received by the players? Now, I don't really want to talk about this, but it's been put up there. So, Robbie, can you tell me, so what happened was the Lepers, the guys who weren't playing, were miles away from the 1992 team when we were training on and not hoping for a few injuries. But anyway, we came on a separate plane. We weren't even allowed to go on the plane with the team.
That would have been Mick. You didn't want any distractions.
I know. And you couldn't we didn't even get to stay in the same hotel. Me and Laidley and, Phil Scott and those sort of guys.
So it's like you guys being the emergencies.
the super emergencies. And so we were sitting on the plane having a few bourbons and cokes, and because we weren't playing, and no chance of going in unless there was 10 injuries, if there was something in the street parade, a big crash or something. So I said to Phil Scott, Scotty, there's got to be something, being philosophical at the time, there's got to be something we can do. Come on, what can we do? So he thought, let's write a letter. How stupid is that? So anyway, we wrote this heartfelt letter to our teammates saying, come on, grab it, not only for yourself and your families and for the club, but for the blokes who won't be there, the blokes who will miss their place in history. We're talking about us, right? Because we knew they were going to win and we were going to be the forgotten dudes. Anyway, we sent it off, Rob. We faxed it because we weren't at the same hotel. We faxed it to Nizzy. And I believe he read it out or something, didn't he?
Look, Barrow, I often say to people that was part of our victory, how close and connected all the players were on that list, and I can remember that letter being read out.
Really?
And to me, it was a really important part of that day. So well done, mate. It wasn't a silly and a stupid thing.
Mate.
It was an important part, and I think any successful club has everyone totally involved, and certainly in '92 we did.
I appreciate it, mate. Well, maybe on that note, then we better wrap it up. You guys have been amazing. You're such a big part of this club, and may you continue as long as you want to. I'm obviously in the media, so I'm sort of like, remember Mick? Media enemy. Even Barra, enemy.
That's right. The only one he liked in media was only one person. His daughter.
His daughter, that's right. So this has been a special edition. Thanks, boys. You've been amazing. This has been a special edition of Coast to Coast. We hope you enjoyed it. Two of the greats here and a few of the originals. Thanks to Allianz, official insurance partner of the West Coast Eagles. Allianz, care never gives up.